Welcome, AKAPADers. This is the 31 Days of Dread. We're talking frogs today. And if you like the 70s, if you like environmental horror, cautionary tales, death, murder, well, I don't know if an animal kills you. Is it murder? I don't think so. But we have death, and we have the 31 Days of Dread. And I am your host, Peter A. DeLuca, the pop culture pope. And this is the month of October, where we do one horror movie a day for the entire month of October. Are you ready? Let's get through that intro and talk frogs. Alright, everyone, before we get into something spooky, let me tell you something. Trial by Fire is my comic book available right now on Indiegogo. Link in the description, and I will see you on the printed page. Long days, journey into night. I always find myself saying that phrase a couple times a day. Maybe it's got a few hundred times a month, because sometimes I say to myself all day. And what a journey to get this episode done, because this year I've been ahead of Inktober. You can find out on AKAPAD 69, and that's where I do the Inktober prompts, and I'm combining that with horror movies. So it's just a lot of horror, but I'm ahead on Inktober. I'm ahead on the 31 Days of Dread, but this was like a blank spot. So it kind of got to the point where one night ago, last night, the 13th, I had to watch this movie again, because I watched it like halfway through, and it was kind of like, I remember Sam Elliott, and this is the exact type of process I go through. I talk about this a lot, where if you can't remember parts of a movie, not if you liked it or not, but parts and the flow of the movie and the rhythm of the movie, good or bad, okay? If you can't remember it, then you have to rewatch it. And I said that to myself. So I started it over, watched the movie, and, I wake up between 5 and 7 every single day. I don't even need a alarm. So I was up extra late because I'm on this comic book assignment. The deadline for that is tomorrow. So I wake up at 7, and I got plenty of time. I got plenty of time to record and release, because I'm trying to do every episode by 9 o'clock a.m. I've done that all but 3 episodes so far. So my workday just kicks up. It kicks up fiercely. And here's the crazy thing. Microsoft, right? We can argue. But let me just say, probably one of the most reliable companies in human history is Microsoft, with their reach and the things that they have to handle. Truly amazing. They are like a NASA like company in my eyes. So I get into work mode, and now it's we're mid-afternoon, and I don't have any release yet. And Microsoft bugs out this portal that I have to log into. It's just chaos. And it's literally me sitting down, refreshing endlessly until I can get something done. So that's where we are. So we're talking frogs. Look, let me give you a little bit of additional Peter A. DeLuca pop culture pope insight into my process here. I love watching and listening to a lot of these reviewers on YouTube, mostly because as soon as they say something like something about a movie, some insightful tidbit, I stop, I pause, and I go to Wikipedia and I see if it's on Wikipedia. And every single time, okay, there's a couple exceptions, but it just seems, from my point of view, from my perspective, but every single time, guess what, kids, boys and girls, it's on Wikipedia. And it boggles my mind, because it's almost like, what don't you know? Like, what do you know? I know what you don't know. You can't always repeat Wikipedia to me. So here with this movie, I really, after watching it, I didn't want to do like any research outside of the director. The director, we don't have too much to talk about with him. And we all know about Sam Elliott's career. So, like, again, we don't have to touch on that. But I go to the Wikipedia, and the Wikipedia has this review, this excerpt from this review. And it essentially says, frogs has murder, like has I keep wanting to say murder. I don't know why I have murder on my mind, but frogs, every single death in the movie Frogs does not involve frogs. It involves all these other animals. And I said to myself, I said, son of a gun, like I should have thought of that. I should have made that connection. And I kind of let that sit. Like I let that sit when I was passing this movie over for somewhat a second time. While I was watching it, something occurred to me. So I go back to my youth. I remember seeing like the box art for this movie when I was a kid. And it was always like, like clearly that's just BS. That's just BS. And you might be like, okay, Pete, like, you're a kid, blah, blah, blah. No, but by BS, I mean, I'll tell you what I mean. I'm essentially, so I'm just trying to gather my thoughts real quick. Like you just know as a child that it's not going to live up. It's not going to live up to the hype. Like there's no way frogs are going to murder people. It's just not. You can't cinematically do this. You can't do it with money. You can't do it inexpensively. Like you're just lost. Like you have to, like watch the movie and find out. And that's what the box art invites so well. It's like, what are these frogs going to do? And it entices you, and it begs you to watch it. And, watching this movie, that was definitely a part of the fun in this movie. So this movie starts the same exact way that, like I would predict. There's some environmental thing. Our protagonist is going to be investigating something. He's somewhat of a loner. He's going to find a girl. And then everyone along the way is going to be against him. That's essentially the part of this movie. So we have this like rich aristocrat guy dumping chemicals into the river. So, like pesticides, all these things. But here's the funny thing. And this is something, a sign of the times. Environmentalism, okay, was just emerging at this time. This movie's on top of a very new idea that we have to look after the environment. This movie was made roughly, I would say 10 years before it hit the lexicon, before it hit the zeitgeist. Meaning, I'll tell you what I mean. Every single cartoon, every single movie, everything was environmental something in the 80s. There was a full Save the Whales, Killer Bees, Ice Age coming. I'm sorry. This movie's 1972, not 1974. We're in the full swing of it. One of the biggest tropes of all of 80s entertainment is environmentalism and crazy evil corporations. Every single corporation is out to get you, like in a really seriously bad way. So this movie's roughly more than 10 years ahead of the curve, like the current. And that struck me because I'm watching this movie and, we have, look, Sam Elliott has some really good hero speeches, like in this movie. He's got 2 of them. This movie's poorly directed when it comes to the acting and the action on camera. Now, it's a cheap movie, so we know what we're going to get with special effects. But if there was ever a movie that used pet shop pets, like creatures, animals you can literally buy down the street from where you live, use them in a narrative with a message, with some hey, over the top ish deaths, or just deaths that are laughable. But here's what that reviewer missed when he said that Frogs doesn't kill any humans, even though the movie's called Frogs. The frogs are used in this movie as like they're almost like a harbinger. Like when you see frogs, you know something environmental is going to happen against these people, because like it's a swamp. And they're used in a way to warn us that this person's in danger. To anticipate it, to get ready. On that notion, it's masterful. I mean, perfectly well done. Wonderfully illustrated. Probably using stock footage, or, they probably spent a day getting footage of all of these animals, like doing stuff. And they just shot the movie, and it all happened in the editing bay. So with that, with the idea that this aristocrat, Louisiana swamp owner, poisoned the land so much that it's coming back to get him. Now, the theme here is a Swamp Thing theme, and it's nearly done better than it's ever been done. I'm just talking about the execution of the theme. See, this is why it's important for you to listen to this podcast, because we get into it all. We see it all. We analyze it all. No one's talking to you on this level about frogs. So, Swamp Thing, one of the best comic book reboot updates ever. The Alan Moore run goes into the Rick Veitch run. Classic. The USA Swamp Thing television series, live action. Monster of the Week, but good. I'm pretty sure that was 4 seasons. Swamp Thing, the animated series. 90s action figure boom fest. Really cool toy line. And then we have 2 movies. These movies barely know what to do with the environment. Swamp Thing returns because it's more comic booky. Definitely hits some of the environmental ideas a little bit easier because it can. And then we have the DC Direct new live action Swamp Thing animated live action series, second Swamp Thing live action series, and I'm pretty sure that came and went. That's already canceled. I don't know if it got picked up again for HBO Max. I can't follow all of the streaming updates. It's insane. It's truly madness. It's worse than following the film studios. So we get this environmental message that's, to me, is perfectly clear. So it kind of, everything always goes back to frogs. Why is this movie called Frogs? Because guess what? You have to sell the thing. You have to make it interesting. It has to entice you. So as the box art fascinated me when I was younger, and for me even choosing it for day 14 of the 31 Days of Dread, because I can put any movie in here. If I wanted to do a swamp theme, like a bog theme, because our day 15 will be the bog. If I wanted to do like some type of environmental theme for the 31 Days of Dread, I can put Swamp Thing in this place. There's other movies I can put in. I put Anaconda, even though it's a jungle, but still. Like, I can come up with this theme, and it's very easy to put 2 other movies together. I felt like I was doing myself a service by watching this movie, because it did stick with me since I was younger, and now it's over. The fascination, the curiosity of this movie is over. I can move on with my life, and that's a lot of what the 31 Days of Dread are all about. This movie's available right now on Amazon Prime. I beg you to watch it and understand, no frog kills any human in this movie, but the frogs are carrying death. So there you go. Everyone, 31 Days of Dread, Peter A. DeLuca, I love you. Go out there, create something for me. Get obsessed with something. Rock and roll, and let's go. Quick announcement. quick announcement. So this episode is dedicated to my father, R.I.P. Tony DeLuca, Tony Ironfeet. We love you and we miss you every single day.